Why did you want this? Why did you want to be SA co-presidents?
Go ahead. Well, I think, I mean, it has a lot to do with the last question that we answered, in my opinion, because I think, seeing what Laura and Kunal were able to do and the impact they were able to make, I think was kind of inspiring to both of us. But, on a more section-focused level, just seeing the impact that, being in section leadership, the impact that you're able to have on a section, and really the impact, more importantly, I guess, that my section had on me, it was just a really rewarding experience. And Sarah and I both had phenomenal experiences our first, semester and however much in the second semester at HBS.
Right.
And I think we felt like it was that this was an opportunity to step up and kind of hopefully perpetuate that for others. And those that haven't maybe had as great an experience, try to figure out how to change that in the future. And those that have had a great experience so far, how can we make that better?
Right.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Something that Jordan and I aligned on really early when we were even talking about running together was the fact that we both feel like we get a lot more out of a given experience if we're serving the community that we're kind of having that experience in. And so for me personally, there were kind of two ways I could go next year. I had ideas about maybe starting a business, or and HBS has so much to offer, and we are paying quite a bit to take advantage of the opportunities that they offer. But what it came down to for us is, if we were to really maximize our experience here and get the most out of it, we knew that we had to do that in a way that we were giving back, and so I think that is a common philosophy that I think has pulled us through the minor differences that we've even come across now. So,
like, she doesn't like Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I hate soda.
And
all soda, or
all soda. Family of doctors, never was in the household.
I was going to say that's the healthy choice. If you could change one thing about HBS, regardless of whether or not you could, based on as SA co-presidents, but is there one aspect of the experience, either that you directly have experienced or that you've heard of secondhand, of people who have disliked this or that? Is there something about the experience here that you think needs to be addressed?
That's a good question. I think, I guess I'll go first.
I know, sorry, I'm just going to push you.
No, I think HBS can be a tough place, and in some ways maybe like a lonely or a kind of, I don't want to say, it can be a very unique experience for people who are different in general. I mean, whether it's that you're maybe an international student, or maybe you come from a non-traditional background, maybe you're a mom, as coming into this as a married guy with a 2-year-old son from a non-traditional background, from a region of the world where there aren't very many people from my neck of the woods. There aren't very many people that even know what my neck of the woods means. There aren't very many people from my area of the world that are here at HBS. Like I've seen some of that and felt some of that, and I think I don't know necessarily how I would change that, because I think that's part of what makes HBS so unique, is that there are people from all different walks of life. But I think that one of the things that's already started to happen that I am hopeful will continue to happen is that HBS will continue to shift in terms of, it's okay to not be from, it's okay to not come from PE or come from a hedge fund or come from McKinsey or wherever, and and it's okay if you don't want to go back to those, if you don't want to go to those places either, and if you're, if your goal is to, be more family oriented or be in a nonprofit or to, whatever the case is, that's we encourage that, and I think they've made some really strong strides in that, from what I understand from talking to people who've been in HBS in years past. But I think that's something that we still need to continue to be conscious of.
Right.
So mine actually builds on that in a big way.
Right. Teamwork.
So I know personally I fall into the trap a lot with my section mates, with friends outside my section, of kind of having the more superficial conversations. Where are you going this summer? What did you do in the past? Where did you go to school? And something that I've loved this year are these My Take sessions, in which you kind of get to hear a depth of story that you don't normally get access to.
They're great.
And for me, the challenge for HBS is how to encourage more of those authentic conversations to happen. Because for me, those are the things that I'm going to remember, those stories, not necessarily where someone did their summer internship.
Right.
And that's, I think, tying it back into Jordan's point, it's in those moments that I think those are the most precious moments where we can truly learn something about someone who is really different from us. And so I know it's a challenge because it's not something that is easily institutionalized from an HBS perspective, but to the extent that we can create a culture in which those conversations happen more often, maybe it just means increasing the frequency of my take or increasing the scope of it. But that to me is the number one thing that I would change about HBS.
Is there a particular conversation or dialogue that you feel that HBS students need to engage in that we're not currently?
On a particular topic?
Yeah,
or
on a particular topic.
Oh, I think, the list of topics is probably just is incredibly long. I mean, I think it's the tenor and the depth that I think are really useful. And I think it's funny how a lot of the things that are important to us tend to piggyback on each other. I mean, like the concept that maybe you could go to a My Take and hear, like, Nikki Scovern talk about being an FBI agent and something like that.
Yeah.
And that maybe then if the grill were more of a social hub, for instance, and you left from there and went to go grab a drink at the grill, and you have 2 or 3 people are sitting around talking, and maybe that spurs on an interesting conversation that gets past, hey, I'm Jordan, I worked in higher ed, I'm from Texas Tech, that gets past kind of those surface level things that we kind of know about all our section mates, and get from there to like maybe, dreams and aspirations, or, like fears, things like that. I think those things all kind of tie into each other.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. And I think so at the beginning of our year, I don't know if you guys had this, but we had a session on storytelling. They brought in, I think, professional actors and actresses.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not sure how much people got out of the exercise itself. I personally got a lot out of it, but we sometimes forget the power of stories, and kind of how memorable they are. I mean, that's what the whole case method is based on, right? It's just we will more likely remember, takeaways about strategy if they're couched in a story. I mean, the same thing goes for kind of personal interaction. If we're able to share our respective stories with a greater frequency, I think we'll be able to just remember more about one another in meaningful ways. So.
Right.